Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's so serious. Where my girls at? We link up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
Going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down. Hello, girlfriends. Hello. It's so good to see each and every one of you on this marvelous motivational Monday. It's your girl, your radio host today. Every day is Monday, my most favorite day of the week. It's the force of friendship. Sabrina, Katrina, Chrisette, and Gloria. Jalen, our man is on the board. Yes. I think we come to work every evening for the applause, right? Everybody likes the applause. So thank you, Jalen. Thank you. Well, it's the force of friendship on this marvelous Monday. Absolutely gorgeous weather in the DMV. I keep asking people, is this like regular? Is this like real? I mean, I could get used to this. It's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, really, you guys. And then I'm getting like weather warnings from Ohio. Blasting winds coming your way. I said, I'm so glad I'm not there. But anyway, happy Monday, girlfriend. We're talking World Series champions, the Houston Astros. We're talking about winning with my big brother, Greg Goodwin, brand new published author, and the president of MVP, Mentoring Viable Prospects, all things baseball. We are going to talk to him today. But before we get started, hello, Gloria. Happy Monday. Up. Type your name in the chat. Tell us who you are, where you're calling in from, where you're listening in from, and call us at 313-778-7600. Katrina Harris-Earl, our girl, talk to us. How are you?
Oh, well, we got a little bit of rain here in the Bay. I am not complaining because the weather was gorgeous in Chicago, but we need it. We need it. So we get like a sprinkle and then it'll be back warm again. So it's just gloomy now. I mean, we need the rain. Bring it on. But this is exciting. I'm behind on news. I'm behind on sports. So Greg, my brother, you're going to bring me all the way up to date. I do know who won. Okay. But when I tell you, we have been all wrapped up in family travel, everything until I'm straight up catching up. So I'm on the show to listen and learn, get excited. Okay.
Listen and learn. We have to say sometimes we tune into our own show to get the news, right? To find out what's going on in the world. So we are grateful for We Got Issues. We always want to be part of the solution. We don't want to stay in the problem. Get out the vote. Tomorrow is a big election day. If you have not early voted, we cannot stress the importance to get to the polls. Don't stroll to the polls, run to the polls. Take some family members with you. I like what you said, Katrina. You said we got to turn the clocks back tonight. That was Saturday night. But if we don't go to those polls, we're going to turn our lives back 50 years. And right. So it's important. It's important. Chrisette, we see you. We know your name. Say my name. C-R-I-S. Spell it right. We see you. What's going on, Chrisette? Chris, they can't hear you on the radio. They can't hear you. I don't know if you're muted or what. But
Okay.
we are. Go on
Can
Facebook.
you hear? Okay, so on Facebook. Okay, so I was just saying, if anybody call you about anything, you acknowledge that and then say, have you voted? Are you going to vote? Because you just never know. Sometimes it takes multiple people to really stress the importance of getting out there and vote. Now, what's really good is the fact that they're saying that the number of people that have already voted is larger than what it was in the last election. So, of course, we know that tends to favor Democrats. We got to wait and see. But I was watching today The View, and they were talking about Elon Musk and how Twitter is just off the chain right about now, and how he is allowing all kinds of hate speech, and and everybody is under the umbrella of we live in America, freedom of speech. But I think that not all speech should be freedom, especially when it can cause people to do crazy stuff like what happened to Paul Pelosi. But Whoopi Goldberg, she said on the show today, she said today is the day that I leave Twitter. So she's totally leaving Twitter. She don't want to have anything to do with Twitter. She said, I am peace, I'm out. And so, you really appreciate people standing on their integrity, and they have their standards. And she's like, you know what, I just can't do it anymore. So she's leaving. And I thought that was really interesting for her to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gloria Mayfield Banks, talk to us.
Oh my gosh, what a weekend. Okay, so I had a phenomenal weekend out there in Vegas. Heard some big speakers. I'm totally motivated. But however, let me tell you something, what I did when I was in Vegas at the MGM. Every time I went to the elevator, I just looked at the person and said, did you vote? Where are you from, and did you vote? I mean, I didn't say hello. I didn't say good morning. I didn't say how you doing. I didn't say nothing. I was like, are you registered to vote? Did you already vote? And it's amazing what came back to me. I mean, I was very excited. Yep, I'm from Georgia. I said, well, your vote really matters. I'm from Philly. I said, oh, we need you out there. And they're like, voted. I voted. It was really good. I mean, really, this whole weekend was about, did you vote? Did you vote? Did you vote? So, I mean, it's all I'm thinking about right now. I'm super, super excited to hear our brother Greg talk about baseball and what's happening with that. Because, some of us really into sports and then others are learning more about it. But baseball, we're all learning about baseball. And this particular World Series is a big
America's favorite pastime. America's favorite pastime. Yes. Let's bring my big brother, Greg Goodwin, out. Greg, come on in. Join us, my brother. Hello, Gregory. Hi, how are you?
You ladies must have a slow night.
No, not at all. He's like, when I called to ask him if he'd be our guest, he's like, dang, y'all must be desperate for some guests. I was like, no, not at all. Consider it a high honor. Well, this is not Greg's first time with us. He's kind of like our stand-in host. He always has something to say, but really has a lot to say, steep into baseball. Greg, go ahead and tell our listening audience how you became so involved with baseball, what you've done with the sport, and what you're doing now. We're so proud of what you're doing.
I don't know. I've always loved baseball. It was always my favorite sport. Back in the 60s when I was growing up, it was most people's favorite sport. I just stuck with it. I was fortunate back then. They were giving full scholarships in baseball, so I was able to get a scholarship to go to Tennessee State and play baseball, and played 4 years there, and of course graduated from Tennessee State. But it's just the whole sports atmosphere has changed. They only give partial scholarships in baseball now. That's part of the reason why a lot of our kids aren't playing baseball. I mean, they get full scholarships in basketball and football, and I would be remiss if I told a parent to keep your kid in baseball, but they go to school free in football and basketball. So that's part of the problem.
Greg, is that across the board, like all schools? all schools? Nobody gets a full scholarship?
No. They only have 11.7 scholarships at D1 schools. Those are the big schools. At the D2 schools, they have less than that. The HBCUs don't even have a full 11.7 scholarships. I know at Morehouse, they only have 2 scholarships. So it's difficult for our kids to go to play baseball under a scholarship. But I've always been involved in baseball. I've coached baseball. I've worked as a professional baseball scout for 3 teams. Baseball's been good to me. I mean, I can't speak how other people feel about it. It's always been my love. I've gotten a lot out of the game. I was able to do a lot with the game. And so my passion is to introduce young African-American guys that baseball is a good avenue. Major League Baseball has done some things now where if you don't play the game, you can get in marketing, you can get in scouting, you can get in umpiring, field maintenance. There's so many avenues to get into the game. And Major League Baseball has done a big push to get our kids involved in the game. I'm just making sure they know about those opportunities.
Yeah, Greg, tell us the 3 teams that you scouted for. What 3 Major League teams did you scout for?
I scouted with the Florida Marlins after I retired from coaching. That was the first professional team I worked with. After Florida, I got with the Dodgers for 16 years.
Wow.
And then I worked with the Atlanta Braves. And a disclaimer, in case I go back to work, these are my own opinions. These are not the opinions of those clubs.
We hear you. We hear you. Well, Greg, you are the busiest retired educator that I know. Busiest. I think you're more busy now that you've retired from education than you've ever been. You're always on the road. You're always spending time with young people. Talk about MVP, the organization that you founded. You've helped so many young people launch, get scholarships to universities and launch careers into the major league. So talk about some of those young people that you've helped, and then we'll talk about your brand new book.
Well, we started mentoring viable prospects in 2004, and that's when they started sitting in a dwindling in African-American professional baseball players. But we knew our kids were still playing baseball. But again, like I said, they were getting the scholarships in basketball and football. So we wanted to make sure that those kids that wanted to stay in baseball had opportunities. So we started a tournament that we do in Atlanta, Georgia every year. And I was one of the founders. There's 3 other gentlemen, Melvin Trainum, Paris Bird, and Milton Sanders, that helped found this organization with me. Milton owns 7 or 8 Kentucky Fried Chickens. You got to have money. You can have an idea, but if you don't have no money, it's going nowhere. So Milton Sanders had the money. He backed us. He financed it. We had a tournament with 6 teams from Chicago, New Orleans, Florida, and Virginia. Of course, with the Atlanta team, those were our first teams. And it was free because Milton Sanders was able to finance it. But we did this tournament to show scouts in colleges that our kids were still playing and playing at a high level. And we've had that tournament every year since. Major League Baseball now funds our program because they see the good that we're doing. And thank God to all the volunteers. Nobody on our staff is paid. We're all volunteers. We've gotten more than 500 young men scholarships to various colleges across the country.
That is phenomenal, phenomenal. Wow. Before we go to a break, do any of the girlfriends have a question for Greg before we go to break?
You know what,
Hey,
Greg,
Greg,
when you come back, I just want you to talk about scouting, because not many people talk about scouting. There's not TV shows about it. That one movie that just came out, but I know that that's probably something big to position your child to be scouted, but you don't know the other side of scouting, and we may not be able to do it here, but I certainly would like to hear more about it.
All right, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, excellent. Well, you guys, we are here with my big brother, Greg Goodwin. When I tell you he loves baseball, he knows everything about baseball. We're going to come back and talk about the Houston Astros, our world championship winners, when we get back. We got to pay some bills. We'll be right back. 9 a.m., the Superstation. There it is. There it is. We're baseball, baby. We're talking baseball. Yes. Well, we are here, you guys. Thank you, Jalen. Well, we are here talking to Greg Goodwin. He is the founder of MVP, Mentoring Viable Prospects. He's been a professional baseball scout. He's going to talk a little bit about that. He's a recent published author of the book Goody, talking about his journey with baseball and all the people that he's helped along the way. And we are celebrating the Houston Astros. They have a Black manager, one of only 3 in baseball's history, to bring home the big trophy. And so, Greg, we always like to celebrate winners, Black excellence. Talk about scouting. Gloria asked you that question, and then I believe we have a caller.
All right, good deal. Scouting is a lot easier than it was when I first started because of social media. I mean, everybody can send a video now and you know what they're doing. It used to be that it was word of mouth. You hear about a kid and you go find out whether this kid could actually play because everyone tells you that a kid is the next great thing, you know. But you really have to put eyes on that kid to see how good that kid is. There's only 5 tools in baseball. You can hit, run, hit with power, throw. And if you have those tools, if you have 2 of those tools, it's possible that you can play professional baseball. But those tools are extremely important. And that's what we look for as scouts. We look for tools in those kids. Each major league team has about 20 scouts per team, and we're divided into areas. Then we have an individual that we report to who is our cross checker. He comes to make sure that our kid is just as good as the kid on the outcoast go down the East Coast. Kid is just as good as the kid on the West Coast. Because after you pick and make that draft choice, you have to wait 30 more times before you draft again. So we have to make sure we have our people on board. And when we make that draft choice, you know, every other team gets an opportunity to pick again. So you want to make sure you have all the kids that are in, throughout the world. Now, we're not just scouting in the United States. You know, we got people in all the Latin American countries. Wow. That's another thing we'll talk about a little later. As you saw in the World Series, those that watched the World Series, yes, we had a Black manager, but do people know that there was not one Black American baseball player in the World Series? Not one. And a lot of people didn't know that. But we'll talk about that a little later, too. Sabrina, is Bert on the phone?
Yes, Greg. Yes. We do have Coach on the line. Let's go to the phone lines. Greg has a buddy that he's going to introduce that knows Dusty Baker really well. And so this is exciting for us. So, caller, are you there?
I'm here. Sabrina Bert is a legendary baseball player. He's on 90 years age, done there 73 years old, and he's still coaching baseball. But he was scouted when I was in high school. That's how long he's been in the game. You know, anybody in baseball. We've been blessed to have Bert around for many years, and Bert is so energetic. He has a twin brother also that plays professional baseball. But Bert, if you would just share with us some of your experiences with baseball. And going to that was great Dusty Baker. Hey, thanks, Goody. I really appreciate the intro. No, my experience stems from the first draft of 1965 when I was drafted by the Giants, the owner, Carter Stoner. And at that time, I thought I was being drafted in the Vietnam War. I had no idea that it was fake. I got a call when I was 17 years old at the school, Catholic school, so you were drafted. I said, oh, no, I get that too. So I'll make a long story short. I was drafted 3 times, San Francisco Giants, Los Angeles Dodgers in 68. And that was the year that I met Dusty. Then I was drafted in 69 and signed with Seattle. But more importantly, my relationship with Dusty goes back when we were both unemployed in 1968. And Dusty came as a recruit. And as most people know, when recruits come on campus, they normally get, if it's African-American recruits, they get African-Americans to show them around. And we did that with Dusty. Well, the unfortunate part about that is that Dusty was not recruited as a baseball player. He was recruited as a basketball football player. And at the time, we had the gentleman by the name of Dan Pastorini, who was the quarterback. He had a historic career in football with the Houston Ball Club. Bottom line is that I told Dusty, me and my twin brother told Dusty, it's not really a good idea to come to the University of Santa Clara. Now, I love Santa Clara. It's a great state for me and my brother. Well, he wasn't going to be the quarterback over there at Pastorini. Unfortunately, and I shared this with Dusty last year in Atlanta at the hotel, the World Series Hotel. I said, Dusty, why didn't you ever share with me and my brother that you played baseball? And Dusty's response is, man, I didn't want you guys to know that the coach, the guy by the name of Sabrina, said he wasn't quality enough to play Division I baseball. So this quality thing goes all the way back to the 60s. Well, needless to say, that we got over 2,000 wins, and we will be in the Hall of Fame, even if he didn't win that thing. But he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and I promise him I'm going to be there. I asked Dusty for a birthday present before the World Series started. I said, Dusty, I want two things from you. One, I want the Astros to win the World Series, and two, I want two of your wristbands with your photo signed. I'm going to wear them in my inaugural coaching. I'm back in California at a junior college, junior college coaching. But yeah, Dusty, people say a lot of things about him, but the most important thing is that he's a true friend, not only to the CEO of companies, the owner of the Astros, but to the person that picks up the trash or picks up the line, or the person at the concession stand. And that's the kind of individual he is. And most people don't get that flavor because they just see him in a dugout with a toothpick. But he's the guy who's on the battlefield. Yeah. Really knows. My relationship still is solid. Go ahead, Coach.
Brian, I want to ask you, people don't understand about the winning and they see they got a championship finally. But you know what I know, Dusty has been a Hall of Famer way before he won the World Series. Would you explain to me how difficult it was for Dusty and explain to him that he got fired after winning 90 games for the Washington Nationals and didn't have a job for 3 years before he was hired to clean up the Houston Astros after the cheating scandal? There's a big backstory behind this, and Bert knows it all.
Well, see, the key with that, what Dusty found out in his older age, and like I said, I'll be 75 in December, is that all the hang-oners, people that love you when you're playing and when you're on top, they stopped calling. They stopped being respected. They stopped being in his face. So he found out who his true friends were. You follow me? And that was inviting him at his, because my wristbands that I'm getting for my 75th birthday, I will pick up from him and his winery. He has a wine tasting. Him and Hank Aaron had business together, still do, with the family in Sacramento, California. So I'll be getting my wristband in Sacramento. But it's different. Dusty was not rehired by the Washington Nationals. And I know, and I talked to Mr. Lerner, the owner of the Nationals, because my former boss, Dan Denny, when I worked with Tampa Bay, is the assistant. And I asked Dan Denny, I said, why did Mr. Lerner not rehire Dusty? He said, hey, Dusty worked making close to maybe $3 million. My teammates make $850,000. You do the math. Wow. I mean, they sat together, had dinner. Dusty is really an entrepreneur. Dusty has a company called Baker Energy, which I'm a part of. But Dusty does a lot of things in reference to climate control. Not only on the baseball field, but he's really a big-time business guy. Yep. Good.
Yeah. So bring one more question. First, could you tell me what college you're coaching at currently? Because they keep saying that.
Well, I'm at formerly famous junior college called Contra Costa Junior College. And Coach Goody knows it. Back in the day when we had 40 rounds in the draft, most African Americans that were going to be professional players, they didn't really consider 4-year school. Because 4-year school make you mandatory that you have to stay 3 years before you're eligible for the draft. That's why guys like Harper, that was in the World Series, dropped out of high school, got his GED, went to junior college, and was able to sign. So I'm at Contra Costa Junior College, formerly world-renowned JUCO, because most African Americans that were going out in the draft came to Contra Costa. So they only were going to be here for a year or two. Well, now, Major League Baseball prospect, he gets his education paid for. And I think you can address that with Kmart Johnson, Chris Gonzalez with the Georgia Tech. All these guys in the draft, they're getting their education paid for now. We just don't have enough blood like in Atlanta that's available. We just don't. Atlanta's the mecca of youth sports. Goody is on top of that. That's where they're coming from. It's not coming from Oakland, California anymore. It's coming from Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah.
There's also, you've been talking about the lack of black baseball players. Would you tell or explain to them that how we're trying to address that with programs like Miss MVP and Minority Baseball Prospect, Chip Long's program in Florida, what they're doing with Chicago program?
We'll come back. Greg, we got to take a break. This is so good. Such good information. Please stay on the line with us. We want to hear more. We got to take a quick break. We'll come right back. You're listening to 9 a.m. The Super Station with the 4% Chick. We'll be right back. force of friendship. And it's just so exciting to have Greg and Coach Drain on the phone, and now his brother has called in, his twin brother, who also plays professional baseball. So we are just having a good old time celebrating the Houston Astros and Dusty Baker. They know Dusty Baker well, and we just love celebrating Black excellence. But my brother did mention that out of both teams who played for the Championship World Series, there was not one African American on the team playing. And I know some of the teams, because they're Cuban, there are Dominican Republic, some Belgium, the DR, and so we think they're brothers, but they're not. They can't speak a lick of English, okay? And so, Greg, talk about the shortage of African American players right now, and what you and your
Before we go to the other caller on the line.
All right. Well, like I said, minimum viable practice was started so we can expose and encourage young Black kids to keep playing baseball. And from our organization, the Major League Baseball has started what they call the Breakthrough Series, which identifies young African American players and gives them a platform where they can be seen at an early age. We have an organization in Florida run by Chip Lawrence, who's the scouting director with Milwaukee Brewers, that's doing the same thing. We have another organization in Chicago, the Chicago Ace, run by the White Sox. So we're branching out. We're doing what we need to do to get kids involved and give them opportunity. Like Bert mentioned, there were 5 of the top 6 players in the draft last year were African American. So we're shortening that gap. It's going to take a while because it didn't overnight. We didn't stop playing. It's going to take a minute to get there. Unlike basketball and football, you just don't go straight to Major League Baseball. You go to what's called the minor leagues. And Bert can explain about that too. And Bert can also talk about the scholarship or lack of scholarships in baseball.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, go. Okay.
Is the number of African Americans that we didn't have in the World Series. Well, that's the problem because it's called opportunity. We got tons of players playing. I mean, tons of them from Atlanta that are playing organized ball, but you have to have an opportunity. It's only 30 ball clubs and 26 roster spots. What we're doing and what Goody's doing in Atlanta with the MVP and what the other chip and what they're doing, they're teaching fundamentals, mechanics. When I was scouting, first thing my scouting director wanted to know, other than the 5'2", what kind of person is it? What kind of tools does he have? Is it mechanics now? If you have 4 mechanics, when that ball gets up to 100 miles an hour, cancel Christmas. You're not going to be there. I've worked with guys, talked to agents about players. Atlanta is doing a fabulous job about getting young players in college. The game is changed. The game is not known anymore. You can come out of high school. Very few do. Kmart jobs should be one. But very few guys come out of high school directly to minor league ball. It's changed. Most African Americans, you can test it, don't mature until like 23, 24, 25. You don't get any money coming out of the draft. You're back home by that time. You're released. So our job in Atlanta, along with what Manny Upton is doing in his part of the world, the whole thing is teaching proper mechanics. And we're the best athletes in the world. Ain't no doubt about it. When those guys in 5 play, we got it. So that's right. The brothers are coming back. It's just called opportunity. And we have to create the opportunity. Goody and what he's doing, what they're doing in Virginia, what they're doing in Florida. We just have to keep going. Numbers are not going to change overnight. But what they're doing with MLB, with Dale Matthews and Kendu Jones, they're the best. And as I mentioned to them, baseball doesn't start at 12 or 13. It starts when a young kid comes out of the womb and starts playing. And we have to get more into that elite development. We talked about it, bringing that 10, 12, 13-year-old kids to the elite development. Ain't there in clock. That's when we get them. Because we are competing against the Dominicans, the DR, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Curacao. I've been there. Spent time in Cuba. their baseball is a religion. They take 2 classes a day, hygiene and English.
Serious about it. Coach, we got a few callers that have questions for you or for Coach Goody. So let's go to the phone line. Hold on 1 second and let's see who's on the phone. Caller, are you there?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Tell us who you are.
Hello. Hey, this is Al Frank. I don't. Am I on? Yes, you are. All right, boy. Hey, I want to say, Coach Edwin, you guys are doing an incredible job. And the MPP is doing. I tell you, you're right on target, and things don't change overnight, but you're on the right track. And as my brother said, we're identical twins. So we thought, I'm in Michigan and Detroit area, Camden Hills, and he's in California, but it don't make a difference. Time change don't make a difference. So we thought baseball, we evaluate kids all the time. But let me say this. You start them as early as you can. And our youngest client is 6 years old. Now he's 10. And we use film. We send them to parents. And this is what I typically get. And especially when kids are good athletes, young. And the parents say, oh, my kid hit 764. And he's a good athlete. Can you take a look? I say, well, yeah, just send me some film. And I'm always very gracious because I want to see these kids play and I want to see parents involved. But reality check comes in. And then I send them the film of the young man who is now 10 years old. When I showed the video to my wife, she says, well, who's the midget? I said, that's not the midget, that's Christopher. Playing bird failure is just a gracious young man, but you got to catch him early. But my comment is this. And my question is, as we go forward, okay, and I know you guys mentioned the kids at the high school tournaments, and that's just excellent giving them exposure. But on the fundamental side, getting these kids and training the coaches, I've had more difficulty in getting coaches, and this is the male ego. I was in Detroit, and I was driving by, and I saw 12 kids this last spring. I stopped in and stopped my car, walked up, introduced my car. I'm an author as well. Gave the guy my card, says, hey, I used to play professional ball. Is there anything I could do to help the kids? He said, okay. And I said, well, can I just share some things with him? So I worked with him for about a half hour, 45 minutes. I said, here's my card. Let me know when you're walking out again. Do you think I got a call from the guy? It's just a matter of if you don't know what you don't know is where the problem comes in. Yeah. And you got guys, not only like Bert Miles, we have a good friend of ours that plays for the Dodgers. His name is Ron Joshua. Lives in Novi. I mean, he works with these kids. We all got a passion for this because we know what it takes. Okay, you got to be a super athlete, but you got to have a passion. And these rule changes that they just made for Major League Baseball with the wider bases and the positioning in the field, we're going to see a lot more brothers. Now, hopefully, it's going to be from the United States, but it is what it is. One comment on something. When Dusty Baker versus Santa Clara in 67, and we tried to recruit him, and as Bert told what the story was on that, 15 years later, I'm at Dodger Stadium. I'm sitting on the bench watching batting practice with my good friend Bob Joshua. Dusty comes out there, sits next to me. He says, well, you don't know who I am. I said, well, heck, I know you Dusty Baker. He said, oh, no. He said, you remember a tall, lanky kid from Sacramento that you and your brother brought to the university to the frat on? I said, that was you. He said, yeah, so that's he is such a gracious man, and he never forgets anybody. And he'll do anything he can for you. So, gentlemen, keep doing what you're doing. And I'm going to tell you, I want y'all to listen to this 1.10 Superstation. You guys got some good questions. We do have a Detroit here with the Blood for Detroit. We got an organization that works with kids from 8 to 16. They call it Detroit Rangers. Coach Edwards does an incredible job working with these kids and the parents, and they give them a very reasonable way to play caliber baseball and giving these kids. So shout out to the Detroit Rangers here in Detroit. All right.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for calling in. Awesome. Thanks for all you do for making us all better in the sport of baseball. Okay, you guys, these phone lines are hot. I think we got another caller. Let's look at the phone lines. Caller, are you there?
Next is Bill.
Okay, Mr. Bill, how are you? Bill, are you there? Do you have a question or comment, Bill?
We lost Bill.
Okay. All right. Is there another caller?
Let's go to Coach Diggs.
Okay, Coach Diggs, are you there? Coach Diggs?
Yes, I am. How you doing?
I'm good. Turn your radio down a little bit. We're getting some feedback, but we'd love to hear from you.
Is that better?
Yes, that's so good. So good. How are you? What's your question or your comment?
Well, I would like to say, man, I had the privilege of having Al and his brother to come out to my baseball practice, man, and it was just amazing for someone to come and show the kids and say the same thing that you've been saying for me here. I'm an inner city kid, graduated from Southeastern, and had a chance to play a couple years in the pros myself. And I love nothing more than being able to come home and give back to my community. Wow, great.
Beautiful. Excellent. And where do you live now?
I live on the east side of Detroit in Harper Woods.
Beautiful. Well, we thank you for coming in to 9 a.m. the Secret Station with the Force of Friendship. Oh my goodness, another commercial break. I guess baseball is a hot topic. The callers are calling in. And we're going to come back and talk to Coach Goodwin about his new book, his brand new book. We'll be right back. Thanks for listening. 9 a.m. the Secret Station. good. The phone lines are
interesting, intriguing, exceptional conversation about winning in baseball, making a difference for young African-American men to pursue the sport, become excellent in it. We have Coach Greg Goodwin, my big brother. I followed him to Tennessee State, but I taught him everything he knows, and he is with us today. And so let's go to the phone lines, you guys. Let's go to the phone lines. Jalen, I know we've got 4 or 5 callers. Let's run through them. Who we got?
Who we got?
Next is Regina.
All right, Regina, talk to us. Yes, I just want to know, can we talk a little bit about Dave and how Greg has helped so many young men and women, but particularly Dave, when Dave was throwing rocks at the baseball team and how Greg first met him. And let's talk about that book. And let's definitely want to hear that. Excellent. Well, tell us a little bit about your book. That's our sister Regina. So we're so proud.
First published book will be in Tulsa this weekend for his second big book signing. So talk a little bit about your book, how people can get your book, and what inspired you to write the book. And Dave, of course.
First of all, the person Regina is talking about, that's the young man that's on the cover of the book with me. That's Dave. Dave was a special needs kid that I met when he was about 8 years old. And special need kids are special to me because they don't see any color. They don't see any right and wrong. They don't care about money. You know, they want to know if you're a good person, if you have a good heart. And I could have the worst day of my life, and I see Dave, and I'm okay. You know, and so Dave was with me until he passed last year at the age of 41. I had him since he was 8 years old. He's part of our family. Sabrina knows he calls her auntie, Sabrina and Regina. But Dave, I spent a lot of time with Dave. I met him when he was 8 years old. He was my ball boy. He was at every game that we ever played. His teacher started calling me when he would get in trouble. So I was like a surrogate parent. And Dave stayed with me when we became an adult. And we shared just a lot of great times together. But as far as the book, all of us have a story. I was just able to put mine to paper. Everybody has a story. I just took the time to put mine to paper. And it made sense because my daddy started writing the book. He didn't finish it. My grandfather didn't care about writing the books. He just cared about getting paper, making money. And I had to tell our stories. And so I took the time to do that. And it worked out perfectly because I'm using the money from the sales of the book to do a scholarship in Dave's name. And so that scholarship will go to a young man or woman every year at Redan High School where Dave graduated.
Yeah, and Greg was in the process of finishing the book, and we lost Dave. How long ago, Greg? How long ago did Dave pass away?
Dave passed in June. Wow.
Yeah, unexpectedly, you guys. He was just such a kind heart. He would always make us laugh. He really was a part of the family. And long live Dave. We will always remember him. And just, you know, anytime you thought of Dave, he made you smile. He never had a bad day. He had a lot going on in his life, but he always had a smile on his face. And so, Greg, we just think it's great that he was on the cover of your book with you. You guys, Dorothy's going to put up where you can get Greg's book. What'd you say, Greg?
Yeah. I said, yeah, she'll put up where you can get the book. But if you're in Atlanta, just call me. I'll meet you at the barbershop on the corner. I can set it out the trunk of my car. But we got to get these books sold to get this scholarship done. Sabrina, I'd like to get back to the callers. We'll talk about the book later.
Okay, excellent. Part 2. Okay. Next caller. Daryl, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Bill. Thanks for calling. 9 a.m. How are you?
I'm doing well, Sabrina. How about yourself?
Good.
I've been enjoying the conversation with Houston winning the World Series and everything, so we get a bit of a boost here in our community. We got Astros Baker being the World Series manager.
Yeah.
The champ.
Big boost.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know you've done some good work with young people in the Detroit community with baseball. And thank you for all that you do these young people. So, what would you like to share today? Our question, our comment?
Well, I'm hearing it how we really want to get our kids involved more sport and everything. But the thing that we really have to talk about is the finances of baseball. And why people go to football and to basketball. Because I'm sure it's priced out of baseball. To play on an elite travel team or something of that nature here in Michigan, and I heard a couple other callers from our area right there, it costs up to $3,000, and then that don't include people trying to have hitting instructors, pitching instructors, agility trainers, and it's kind of a money grab instead of helping the kids to become the best that they can be. Everybody has an agenda, and the agenda should be the kids and their betterment. And we have to do a better job of that. Our kids are very talented, but they have to have a skill set also, fundamentally, mechanically, and mentally on their field to excel at the sport. So, we can talk a little bit about those things as well. But we are talented.
Yes, we are talented. Thank you so much, Bill. Let's go to Coach Goody and see what he has to say about that. Thank you so much for calling in.
What would you like to say about that?
Money is an obstacle, of course, but you don't have to pay $3,000. I didn't have a private tutor at all, and none of the players that I played with had private tutors. That's something that is people think you have to have now. But again, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have computers. Kids are indoors and they're not outdoors playing. But you got a backyard, a kid can go outside and play baseball all day. But you got to have somebody to play with him. Got to have a parent or uncle like I had in my Uncle Jerry to go outside and play with me. But again, you don't have to pay $3,000 to play baseball. If Bert was still on the phone, he can tell you there's an RBI program. And if you're in Detroit, the Detroit Tigers have an RBI program. They will help subsidize some of that money. So there's ways around it, okay? Let's not talk about why we can't. Let's talk about why we can.
Okay, and so Greg, for these, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go, Daryl.
Sorry. I know Goody didn't pay anybody for hitting the truck. I didn't pay anybody, nor did my brother. So this new economic stream where you do lessons because you think you can teach or whatever, it's a new phenomenon. But I tell you this, the creators of RBI, my very good friend John Young, he said in Los Angeles, we talked about how we can do this and cut this money out from parents. We did free baseball clinics in Northern California for 17 years. Called Baseball with the Pros.
Okay. Excellent. So the reason that's the music, that's the music. We have to come back to this baseball conversation. Obviously, it's a hot topic. We have interest. Fred